Welcome to another one of my weekly videos here on the Andrew Wasson YouTube channel. To get started with, I just want to do a quick recap of what's been going on my main YouTube channel over at Creative Guitar Studio. And if you don't follow me over on Creative Guitar Studio here on YouTube, make sure that you go and subscribe right away. The first video I want to talk about is a video that I put up just about, I guess maybe it was on Wednesday of this previous week. And it was called Why Every Chord Has This and Why you need to know about it. It's a great lesson on chords, how they operate, and all the tones inside the chords themselves, and how they function together to create harmonies, and also how they function musically to create songs. So definitely a video that you want to check out for sure. Another one that came out as part of my Friday Patreon Plus releases is the A blues pattern trick used by all famous players. This is a great video talking about a certain way of using patterns and doing pattern playing so that you understand how it all fits together on the fingerboard. And if you have never come across this type of pattern approach before, and like I said, I did use it in A blues pattern, it is going to be super helpful for you. It's going to cover a lot of ground on using this shape across the fretboard, and I also give you some hints on how to take it through all the other keys as well. Finally, my most recent release that just came out today, the day I'm filming this here, is 5 simple open E licks that you can learn in 5 minutes. Now, what's cool about this one is these open E licks are all based around kind of country western style. I pulled the Telecaster out for this one. It sounds really nice. I do everything amalgamated in an intro tune that is tabbed out if you're a Patreon member and you're a supporter over there for me. And also I've gone through ideas on Patreon on how to add in the 5 chords so you have a really encompassing view of this approach using a 1-4-5 progression to boot. It's a pretty cool idea. I really recommend checking out at least the YouTube video. If you're not following me on Patreon, at least check out the videos that I do post on YouTube. There's always the handouts and all the MP3s and bonus material that's available on Patreon. If you want to get that stuff, by the way, my Patreon is just simply patreon.com/Creative Guitar Studio. Okay, anyway, all that stuff, it's out of the way now. Let's get into what I want to talk about here. I've got these 10 traits that I think are really important for rhythm guitar, and I want to talk about this, topic of rhythm guitar because it comes up so often, and people always want to know more about that because it's kind of like, most of everything that we do on guitar. If you play in a band, if you're strumming and having some fun with your buddies on a Saturday afternoon, whatever it may be, perhaps you even go to your local, afternoon jams. I know when I had toured before with different bands, so we'd get into a city and some of those, afternoon jams would happen on a Saturday afternoon or on a Sunday afternoon, or some of them are on Wednesday nights or Thursday nights. It just depends on what town you're in and what city that you're in. But those jams, what you're mainly doing at them is you're backing up people playing rhythm guitar, and you're just, kind of playing for fun. So you got to be good at rhythm guitar. Now, one of the things that I really recommend is, first of all, starting off by knowing the notes on your guitar's 6th, 5th, and 4th guitar strings. Make sure those 3 bass strings, you know your notes across the neck on those strings. Right from open position, going right on up at least to about 10th fret. It's pretty hard to play chords past, the 10th fret, but that is the first kind of like step one. Second thing is you want to know at least like 20 chords over here in your open position. You should know a lot of chords down there in the open position of the neck. Mainly the families that you want to check out for sure are going to be major chords, minor chords, and dominant 7th chords, although it certainly does not hurt to understand your add chords like, add 2, add 4, major 6, minor 6, all these chords are really important for certain situations. Your suspended chords, those are really good too. Both sus4 and sus2. Understand how those work. Even some of the major 7 and minor 7 chords as well, like D minor 7, does happen to come up quite a bit. A minor 7, another one that comes up quite a bit. So know a lot of open position chords is really, really beneficial. Next thing up, you want to know how to understand bar chording and have the skill for it as well. Bar chords, they make up a huge part of what's going on with movable chord shapes. So if you've got bar chording down, it's going to be a huge benefit to you. You know, the technique behind it is, you know, there's tons of videos that I've made. There's lots of videos that are out there by other people. You need to work on it a while. It's not something that's super easy to get down, but you will develop it eventually. And there's incredibly valuable to have under your fingertips. All right, next up though, is all about rhythm, keeping the beat in time, having groove, having feel. And, you know, when you have feel together for something, it's a big benefit. And I always think that in the beginning, have a metronome going and maybe just try to do something like, you know, reggae or something like, you know, that really stays consistent in a beat. You know, you could have like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 1. You know, just something like that. Consistency is fantastic in the beginning, and I think that's maybe why reggae can be so helpful. It's much harder to go into like some kind of, you know, busy country or folk, you know, pop, you know, strumming groove, you know. That's much harder to do than just the consistency of something like a reggae beat, but it's also difficult to keep perfect consistency for grooves like reggae as well. But I mean, like, you know, having the ability to have the beat in time, use a metronome or a drum machine to start building that internal sense of rhythm, and it does come along. The next thing is to be able to understand every beat duration. So that means quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes. You want to have all those basic rhythms down. Eighth note triplets, 16th note triplets, quarter note triplets, you know, understand what the half note is and what the whole note is and how to inject rests and different kinds of syncopation. So those are all general rhythmic tools. If you have no ability with that stuff yet, you know, don't worry about it. Develop it. I have a fantastic rhythm guitar course over on my website at creativeguitarstudio.com. Go take that course. You know, it's a big course. It might take you 3 months to study it, but I only charge on the basic membership there $19.95 a month. You know, for $60, you'll probably be able to do that whole course, and it would really help you a ton. There's great handouts, lots of MP3 jam tracks that'll really build your rhythm skill. But you got to get those durations down. That's huge. Now, another one is, you probably noticed that when I was doing that funky kind of, you know, I don't know what you'd even call that, folk pop kind of strumming pattern here on the acoustic. That thing there. You notice in the midst of that, there's a lot of muted technique. You know, there's some muting on right hand, some lift-offs and muting on this hand. Even when I'm doing the reggae thing, you probably noticed there's some mutes, you know, the hands coming up off the fretboard. Even I added kind of a little scratch kind of rhythm in there. Any kind of muting technique, scratch rhythm ability, that's another big factor that's important to understand in rhythm guitar. You got to have the technical skill to be able to do it. Speaking of technical skill though, you got to know how to do slides, hammer-ons, pull-offs, vibrato, stretches for chord shapes that you're going to need, playing a few licks in between chords, bending, you know, all that stuff is a big part of it. And you're maybe wondering, well, what do you mean bending with a chord? You can grab a chord and bend those notes. You know, that's kind of a neat sound. You know, a lot of people don't do it. Or even vibratoing a chord, you know, take a chord. You can vibrato chords, you know. So remember this stuff, because a lot of times people will think, well, you know, that's just for lead guitar, or, you know, sliding an idea. You can slide chords up. You know, you can do grace note slide ideas even with chords. You know, all this stuff applies. It's not like it's, you know, you can slide with a chord. You can take one chord and slide it up to another. It's available to you as a technique. All this stuff, you got to know how to do it, and you got to, you know, it's not just single notes. You got to be able to do it with chords too. Okay, so what am I missing here? I think I'm about at number 8. One of the things I need to add to this list for sure is the ability to understand styles. And, you know, there's a lot of styles. As a rhythm guitar player, you have to be accustomed to a little bit of jazz, a little bit of rock, a little bit of funk, some country, a little bit of pop and top 40 music, definitely folk music. A lot of people around North America are in worship bands, you know your worship music. I you know, think that even hard rock and heavy metal, there's tons to learn technically from playing, you know, those fast, I don't know, I'm kind of in the wrong guitar for it, but having I don't even have a pick, but I mean, having a pick and being able to do those rapid, you know, picking techniques. I've done some, you know, older videos on the importance of understanding how to play with that. And, you know, what you learn from doing other styles, even if they're not styles that you like or that you play in often, it will bleed over to helping you to become a better player in other styles as well. So now a couple last ones here. Pick hand accuracy. You know, I don't have a pick in my hand here today, but that's one of the things, you know, you have to know how to play with a flat pick, play like finger style, folk finger style, classical finger style, hybrid picking method. These are all, you know, traits that you need to have an ability for sure. And then I think I'm just going to wrap this up with our 10th and final one by talking about what I think is one of the best ways to develop higher levels of skill for rhythm guitar, and that is simply to record yourself. Everybody has a phone that you can record on now. Pull that phone out, put it on your desk, or if you have, like, you know, I have a little Zoom recorder over here, you know, use one of these. I don't know, use whatever you can. Record yourself though. Record yourself, listen back, and, you know, play along to some famous grooves and some famous songs and judge how perfect it is that your rendition is coming out as. And if you're not good, then you've got to improve, you know. And one of the best ways to improve is to, you know, work on parts and then re-record and then listen back again. And if you find, you know, you're maybe not judging yourself, you know, harshly enough, then get somebody else to listen to your track that you recorded and have them judge for you, you know, and make sure it's somebody that's going to give you an objective opinion. Don't get your, you know, girlfriend or wife who's like in love with you to go because they're just going to tell you sound great. Get your buddy who's always like making fun of you and calling you bucket face or something. You know, get that guy to tell you what he thinks about, you know, your playing. It'll be a more objective opinion, and a lot of times, even if someone's bugging you about something, there can be some throw-ins there that can really help you quite a bit. So anyway, those are my 10 points. Those are all of them. I think that if you can really start to get all that stuff organized for you, it's going to make a huge difference for your rhythm guitar playing. And hey, you know, guys, this takes time. This doesn't happen quickly. Give yourself a year or two to kind of get all the basics down. And then over time, it's just going to get better and better and better as you develop more skill. So thanks a lot for watching this video here. I really appreciate it. And work on your rhythm guitar skill. If you want to check out my websites there, my main, you know, YouTube channel is the YouTube handle of Creative Guitar Studio. And then if you want to go and check out my Patreon, it's just simply patreon.com/Creative Guitar Studio. And then my actual website where all my guitar courses are, that one is creativeguitarstudio.com. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for joining me. Have a great week, and I'll catch up with you again next weekend for another one of these lesson plans here to give you some more tips on how to become a better guitar player. Thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now. With a free membership, you'll be able to access all the free lesson material, including a collection of 6 years of YouTube archives, where there are hundreds of videos, PDF handouts, and MP3 jam tracks. Plus, with a free membership, you'll gain access to the Quick Licks program, a 30-lesson course covering guitar licks in all playing styles across all types of scales and arpeggios. When you sign up for a paid membership, you'll get access to my core curriculum, including my beginner, intermediate, and advanced guitar programs. Plus, there's also my elective courses on the site, like acoustic guitar, guitar technique, guitar soloing, ear training, music reading, and many others. Go check it out. You're going to love it. The website is creativeguitarstudio.com.